Want to make your money work harder? Enjoy another video with Adam Kahn, the rational investor on stocks, real estate, and crypto. Subscribe now for your weekly dose of investment insights and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Hello, my YouTube friends, and happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're all doing well. Today, we're going to talk about crypto and why I think it is a must own. Now, before I get into that video and talk about Bitcoin specifically, and then I'll talk a little bit about crypto, I want to give a thank you to my sponsor of today's video. Her name is Lily. That's my wife, for those of you who are aware. If I'm fortunate and you guys give enough likes and subscribes, she will make dinner for Thanksgiving. Otherwise, I'm going to have to sit and watch everyone eat turkey. Now, to be fair, I don't like turkey so much. Thanksgiving's one of my least favorite holidays for that. I like when we have duck and other things, which we've been having all week while we've been visiting our family. Anyway, let's get off all that nonsense and get right into the video of crypto and why I think it's a must own. Now, here's the theory I have behind it. Let's say the people who don't believe in it are correct and Bitcoin goes to zero, which I don't think at this point is very realistic anyway. And I don't think a lot of people are, because at this point it's become accepted enough as some sort of something that I really just don't see it going from where it's threatening to get above 100,000 per coin back down to zero. But let's say that that person or those people who don't believe in it are correct. Well, if you know that going into it and accordingly invest, meaning give the right amount of money to make sense that if it goes to zero, that's okay in your life. And I would say maybe 1% of your portfolio. So a very small investment. If they're correct, it should be okay to lose that amount of money. Now, I'm going to go into my little disclosure. Please do not use anything I say as investment advice. Do not listen to me. I am just a guy on YouTube sharing what works for me and what I like to do and the things that have worked in my life. Please reach out to a financial advisor, do your own research. We're making financial decisions for yourself. This is for entertainment purposes only, especially because crypto is extremely volatile. If we go back a few years to when Bitcoin made the highs before, it traded up somewhere around, I'll be close, but I won't be exact, somewhere around $65,000 per Bitcoin. It then proceeded to fall. Also, I will be close, but I won't be exact, to somewhere around $15,000 per Bitcoin. So it fell in half. It fell to about 30,000, then rallied back up, coming close to those new highs again before falling back in half and then dropping in half from there as it proceeded to catch itself and slowly, with a lot of ups and downs around the way, make new highs recently. And now that we're getting towards the end of the year, it's actually threatening $100,000 per Bitcoin. So let's go back to that example and why I think you must own it. If you put in little enough that it may be 1% of your investment. So if you have $100,000 that you're invested in the stock market or wherever, to take 1,000 of that and move it into Bitcoin. You don't have to do what Michael Saylor does and say, put all your money in it, because we don't really know what it is. And I think that's why we have the volatility. I think the reason it could be, and this is why I think it's worth that 1%, if it ends up being what the people who think it could be, in Michael Saylor's example, he thinks 20 years from now, so in 2045, it could be $13 million a coin. Now, while that sounds absurd, and maybe it is, anybody can throw out any number, because unlike Amazon or others that have earnings where we're able to value it, the scary thing and the thing that we don't understand about Bitcoin is it really is just an agreement between the people in buying and selling that asset agree to the valuation. If it becomes what they think it could become, that 1% of your portfolio could end up being worth what the rest of the portfolio is. Now, that doesn't mean go put a ton into it and risk all your money, like I said, the way he does, because we don't know what it'll be. But if you look at the people who understand these things and understand the underlying what's it called, the program, if we understand that and you look at who does, they are usually super intelligent people. It is not a bunch of idiots running around saying, oh, you should buy this thing. It is some really bright people who understand the value of it or understand what it is, talking about how this is what's coming next. Why wouldn't I risk 1% of my portfolio following some super intelligent people down a rabbit hole that may or may not be accurate? And the real thought of, if they're inaccurate, my life will continue. It'll be just fine to lose that amount of money. But if they end up being accurate in some form, it would be a huge mistake for me to ignore it, for me to not be in that space, to have none of it. A huge mistake. And here's what I really think. Part of why it's volatile is we have no idea. So there's a lot of distrust, there's a lot of misunderstanding, and there's a lot of, oh, that can't work. By the time it becomes understandable, if it ever does, the trade aspect of it will be over. By the time it's being utilized and the general population understands crypto and understands Bitcoin and it now makes sense, it will be at the price it's at and it won't be so volatile anymore because it won't be so risky. The risk is what gives the volatility and gives the potential to the upside profits. That is why it moves up and down so much. And from my standpoint, that is why I have to own some of it. This is a way to make a very small bet with potential for huge returns that is mass wide, that has some interest from a ton of people, and the information is out there, and it's not so hard to do. So if you don't even know where to buy it or how to buy it, do yourselves a favor and go to coinbase.com. It's no different than opening up any other stock account or anything else. You put your information in. You probably have to upload a driver's license or passport to prove you are who you are. And then you can buy and sell different cryptos. I wouldn't get out of the top three, being Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, unless you know about these other meme coins. But while there's good potential, the odds are it's like buying a penny stock. My guess is even if it goes up, it goes back down and probably doesn't turn into anything over time. So that's where I am. I don't bother learning about all the other meme coins and everything, but it's very easy to open an account on Coinbase. It's very easy to fund it. It's very easy to buy and sell crypto, but I wouldn't advise to sell it if you're going to buy it. I would probably just buy it and leave it alone and hope to wake up in 10 or 20 years and go, oh my God, thank God I did that. That was really lucky. The other thing to be careful of is the volatility, like I discussed, especially as it's been approaching $100,000 per coin. I think there could be a big pullback. The one thing is, we're making new highs, which is uncharted territory. So until we establish what the new high is, that's when we'd have a pullback. And it could be exceptionally higher than here. And on top of that, we've created a new government entity, the Department of Doge, of government efficiency. And they're talking about making Bitcoin part of the National Reserve. And they've even made mention of potentially buying up to 1 million coins. There's a total amount of coins by the way the program works of 21 million coins. I think there's a bunch that have been lost. 1 million is a nice number because it's probably about 5% of the float. And if you want to try to control the market a bit, that's a good amount to have in terms of moving it in either direction and having some regulations on it. Now, it also means if others follow suit, if the US really does that, and then it turns out that other countries start doing it as well, because it does become an easy way to do trade and actually transfer wealth between I don't know, the United States and Russia, even though they're out of favor right now, or Israel, or whomever. And it's not a political comment. That just is a comment of, countries do trade with each other. If they actually start using Bitcoin, what an easy way to buy, move money from one place to another. Another huge value of the money. I mean, my God, here I am in California. If I have somebody I know in Vietnam that I need to send $200 to, it's very easy to press a button and I can use something like Solana and it costs 1 penny to send it to somebody I know in Vietnam. That's whether it's $200 or $20,000. Like, it seems like a penny is the cost of moving those funds. Pretty amazing, because I can't imagine what a Western Union somewhere costs, and it probably makes it unrealistic to send a couple $100. And I'm guessing there's a large fee if you wanted to send 2,000 or 20,000. Anyway, that's one of the values in crypto is you can send money anywhere to anyone. And let's go to, I used to own a restaurant. Credit cards charge an average fee of about 3% by the time you add everything in and out of it, the transaction fees and everything else. Then you can have what are called chargebacks on top of it. Somebody saying that that wasn't me, my card was stolen. And you can't really fight it too much, no matter what the scenario is in the restaurant, because the credit card company is likely going to support the customer. Move forward to crypto. 1 penny is the transaction, so way less expenses. There's the fluctuation of the coins that you might be using, but they have things like Tether, which is essentially, it is the US dollar valuation. It's pegged to it. So if you're in a company in the US and you want to be taking US dollars, you can accept Tether. And I'm guessing the fees cost pretty much nothing for that too. There are no chargebacks because at the point of sale, the person sending the money it has to be their account. There's really no way that, at least at this point, that it's been stolen or taken or anything else. So they send that money to the merchant. It's instantly there, so they don't have to wait 3 days like they might for the transaction to go through on the credit card machines. And it's cost them 1 penny, allowing them to either lower the price of their foods, because in this example as a restaurant, because they don't have the expense of the credit cards, and for the consumer, the safety and the managing their own bank accounts and things like that, where it's just tokens being sent back and forth. And then the opposite of what it was originally. This is something that can be watched and paid attention to and monitored from anybody who's regulating it, to know who's buying and selling what. Now, I'm not one of those paranoid big brother and they're watching and they're learning, but what an easier way to take care of taxes and whatever else. What if every transaction had an additional 3 cents that they charge that's actually taxes? And then they don't have to worry about what you're spending on, who you're sending it to, and what that actually is. And they'll be able to collect taxes on people who hire domestic help, whether that's a maid or a gardener, on both ends, without making an exorbitant hit on society where it costs too much and it's all this tracking of everything else. The potential for what crypto can actually be and how it can take over all buying and selling. It can even tokenize your investment accounts. It can tokenize that whose property in real estate for things like title company. It just goes on and on what it is capable of handling. And then it gets into smart contracts. So it can even be the contracts of purchases and sales of real items. It's just, since it isn't adopted yet, and we don't know how it works and we don't understand it, it's the unknown that makes it so scary. But it's the unknown that also gives it potential to be able to profit off of it today. If we wait until the future when it makes more sense, I'm guessing there won't be the opportunities to profit the same way. Here are some other things that are really amazing about it, because I listen to Peter Schiff. I find him really entertaining. And he talks about the value of owning gold, how it's the only real money because your dollar is consistently depreciating. While I agree that the dollar is consistently depreciating because we're printing more, I think the value of the digital asset is the ability of storing it on a thing this big. You think about Fort Knox and our gold reserves and the amount of security measures and the people who have to work there to make sure everything is safe and secure, and how much space all that takes up. If you could take all of that value and put it on something this big that needs to be protected, think of how much money you save in terms of guarding it and protecting it. And even if you put it on a few of those in different places, the ability to secure it and make sure that your wealth or your value or whatever you'd like to refer it to is in a safe place is so much easier than the tons and tons and tons of gold that represent our reserves. And then there's a super cool factor. Like if you're into technology and you think things are neat, it's kind of fun to just play with it a bit and start learning about it. It's super cool to me that you can put currencies of sort onto a thumb drive and manage it by throwing it into a safe deposit box and not worrying about it. I'm not sure what it'll look like in the future, but I think that's really neat. And then it's got all these code words and passphrases and pins, and it's just really neat. I mean, if you travel across the world, you can take your little thumb drive. In fact, there's one of them that just looks like a credit card. So you throw it in your wallet and you can travel across the world. And I think that one even works on your phone or whatever else. I don't have that one, but when I was watching one of the videos, it's super cool to think that's a way to transport across the world whatever you have in your pocket. And what a different world to be in. Now, you do, of course, have to be careful because it means you're your own custodian, and you have to be careful of somebody recognizing what it is and potentially giving you a hard time. The scary thing is they don't know what's on it. So even though I have very little, like the other person, if they see it and they know what it is, and there's somebody who's not got the best intentions, you just have to be careful about what is out there. And I hate to be a little paranoid, but be a little paranoid. Be smart about everything. Keep an eye out for my next video. I'm going to talk about how I've really managed to whittle down just to a few stocks to be prepared for 2025. I've gotten out of all the ancillary ones and really focused on 4 stocks for now, and I might add another 2, but I'm highly focused on 3 of them, with one with a little bit, and that's how I'm going to do my 2025 to really outperform the S&P in my trading account. Now, I am too conservative to do that with my entire portfolio. I shared the portfolio with you guys the other day. Hopefully you appreciated that video and found it interesting. But I'm going to talk about how I'm setting up the trading one and the companies that I put into and what I plan to do with them this year, which is pretty much nothing. I will keep an eye on them, and of course I'll watch all the other stocks because I love this stuff and I find it super interesting, and I'll let you know what I think is a bargain and what I think isn't, and continue with that. But I'm really going to focus on these 4 companies and potentially add 2 more for the year 2025 because I think that's the best chance of actually outperforming the market. Anyway, as always, if you could do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button, um, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button. I really appreciate it. Make some comments in the comment area. You'd be surprised how much that helps YouTube's algorithm and helps the channel continue to grow. I do really appreciate all the support. I enjoy doing this, as my wife said. Gives me a place where I can talk because I like to talk and she doesn't really pay attention to it. So have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great day, and I'm sure I'll talk to you. I plan to do a live on Sunday again.